Welcome to aminacademy.com in Aluminium World. In that, we'll discuss about flight dynamics. Here, for flight dynamics, you have to understand what is air. Air is a physical substance which has weight. It has molecules which are constantly moving. Air pressure is created by molecules moving around. Moving air has a force that will lift kites and balloons up and down. Air is a mixture of different gases, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. All things that fly need air. Air has power to push and pull on the birds, balloons, kites, and plants. How wings lift the plane? Airplane wings are shaped to make air move faster over the top of the wing. When air moves faster, the pressure of the air decreases. So the pressure on the top of the wing is less than that the pressure on the bottom of the wing. The difference in pressure creates a force on the wing that lifts the wing up into the air. Law of motion. All object is not moving, it will not start moving by itself. If an object is moving, it will not stop, change direction unless something pushes it. Second law, objects will move farther and faster when they are pushed harder. When an object is pushed in one direction, there is always a resistance of the same size in the opposite direction. These are the laws of motion which we'll use in flight movement. Forces of lift. Controlling the flight of a plane. How does a plane fly? Let's pretend that our arms are wings. If we place one wing down and one wing up, we can use a roll to change the direction of the plane. We are helping to turn the plane by yawing towards one side. If you raise your nose, like a pilot can raise the nose of the plane, we are raising the pitch of the plane. All these dimensions together combine the control of flight of the plane. A pilot of a plane has special control that can be used to fly the plane. There are levers and buttons that the pilot can push to change the yaw, pitch, and roll of the plane. To roll the plane to the right or left, ailerons. The ailerons are raised on one wing and lowered on the other. The wings with the lowered aileron raises, while the wing with a raised aileron drops. What is pitch? Makes a plane descend or climb. The pilot adjusts the elevators on the tail to make a plane descend or climb. Lowering the elevators cause the airplane's nose to drop, sending the plane into down. Raising the elevators causes the airplane to climb. What is yaw? Yaw is a turning of a plane. When the rudder is turned to one side, the airplane moves left or right. The airplane's nose is pointed in the same direction as the direction of the rudder. The rudder and the ailerons are used together to make a turn. How does a pilot control the plane? The pilot controls the engine power using the throttle. Pushing the throttle increases the power and pulling it decreasing the power. The ailerons raises and lower the wings. The pilot controls the roll of the plane by raising one aileron on the other with the control wheel. Turning the control wheel clockwise raises the weight right aileron and lowers the left aileron, which rolls the aircraft to the right. Now we'll discuss further about the flight dynamics. Aircraft flight dynamics is the study of how an aircraft moves and responds to forces and control inputs. It involves understanding the forces acting on an aircraft like lift, weight, thrust, and drag, and how they affect its motion. Stability and control. The three main rotations an aircraft can make or roll around this axis, x around the y-axis and yaw around the z-axis. This is the imaginary rolling axis. In that axis, its rolls, yaw and pitch happen. Forces on a flight. These four forces, lift, weight, thrust and drag, act on the aircraft and determines its movement. What is stability? It's very important. An aircraft stability to maintain a flight condition or return to it after being disturbed by external forces. Aircraft stability refers to an aircraft tendency to maintain its flight condition after being disturbed, whether by turbulence, control inputs, or other factors. It's essentially the ability of the aircraft to self-correct and return to its intended flight path. This is categorized into static and dynamic stability. How it's controlled. The ability to manipulate the aircraft attitude, that is orientation and motion through various controls like ailerons, elevators and rudders. How the altitude is controlled. The aircraft orientation in three-dimensional space described by pitch, roll and yaw. Commercial airplanes typically cruise at altitude between 30 to 40,000 feet, nearly 9,200 to 12,200 meters above sea level. However, their maximum service ceiling, which is the highest altitude they can reach, is generally around 42,000 feet, nearly about 12,800 meters. Factors like aircraft type, weight, weather conditions, and air traffic control influence specific altitude a plane flies at. This is a true altitude. Flight modes. Different types of aircraft motion like short period, phugoid, and Dutch roll, which are characterized by their dynamic behavior. What is flight mode on an aircraft? Flight mode operational from takeoff until shortly before the aircraft lands around 100 feet above ground level. It can be lost prematurely as a result of pilot commands or system failure. Mathematical framework. Equation of motion. This equation, based on Newton's law, describes the forces and moments acting on an aircraft and how they relate to its motion and altitude. The basic equations of motion for flight is a simplified form, involve Newton's second law of motion and can be used to analyze the movement of an object in a straight line when forces and mass are constant. These equations include acceleration, velocity, displacement and time. This combined gives the equation of motion. Some flight dynamics models. How the flight dynamics here. Mathematical models used to simulate the forces acting on a vehicle and its response to controlled inputs. Flight dynamics models are mathematical representation of an aircraft's motion, incorporating forces like thrust, lift and drag, as well as controls like pitch, roll and yaw. These models are essential for simulating and understanding how aircraft behave in flight. Imagine a toy airplane. When you push it forward, it gains thrust. The wings provide lift to keep it in the air. Gravity acts as weight, and the air resistance is drag. By tilting the wings, ailerons, the pilots can change the roll or make the plane turn. Elevators control the pitch, making the nose go up and down. The rudder controls yaw, steering the plane left or right. Understanding these forces and how they interact is what flight dynamics is all about. What is turbulence? Turbulence is irregular air movement that can cause a plane to shake, bump, or change altitudes. It can occur in a variety of weather conditions, including clear air, clouds, and thunderstorms. Causes of turbulence. Jet streams. friction between the fast moving air in the jet stream and the slower air around it. Mountains. Air flow is disrupted by mountains. Weather fronts. Cold or warm weather fronts can cause turbulence. Thermal. Warm air rises through cooler air. Shear. Air pockets moving in different directions. Tips for dealing with turbulence. With turbulence, how talently that pilot controlled the flight. Fasten your seat while the passengers do these things. Fasten your seat belts. Listen to the crew. Enjoy entertainment like reading, watching movies, or listening to music. Try to think positively about turbulence, and God fear is important in here. Turbulence is a normal part of flying and it's very unlikely to cause a crash. However, it can cause injuries if possible or objects are thrown around the plane. So far we discussed about simply about what is air dynamics. That means flight dynamics, how it's controlled. We have done. Please subscribe our YouTube channel.